main event, and that is going to be Gamera versus Zigra. This is the first Gamera review that we're doing here, but I guess kind of the last Gamera movie for the Showa era. There was one more after it, but it reuses a lot of footage.
Yeah. So, and you know, the crazy thing about this movie, Gamera vs. Zigra, is it came out in 1971 in Japan, but we didn't get it here in the States until 1987.
Yeah, so I actually watched the Arrow DVD of this, and one thing to note for this review is that we are reviewing the English dub for this movie. Right? You watched the English version?
Yes.
I also watched the English version just out of ease. In the special features, the guy mentions that, like the company that was licensing the Gamera movies wasn't particularly impressed with this movie. So they didn't license it, and another company picked it up 17 years later or whatever, and they did the dub for it. He says that the dub is absolutely nonsensical. So just note, we are reviewing the English dub of this movie, which is amazing, honestly.
In a comedic gold way.
The
thing about this English dub too is it was one of the earliest movies to be covered by MST3K, Mystery Science Theater 3000. This is one of the first movies that they did an episode on.
Yeah.
So that just gives you an idea.
Yeah.
I was just kind of cracking up throughout this movie.
Yeah. So we might in the future review a Japanese version of this movie to give it a little bit of redemption. But even in the special features, the guy said it wasn't the greatest Gamera movie in the world.
Yeah. And then Dai shortly after went bankrupt, and kind of that brought an end to the Gamera movies. Then they eventually came back in 1980 with Gamera the Super Monster. The writer for the films was not too happy with the way they were taking the Gamera the Super Monster movie. So he decided to just kill Gamera off at the end of that movie and just end the Gamera series there.
So a lot of none of the props for Gamera, the original run, exist. They all got destroyed during a riot at Dai Studios when they were going belly up. The employees kind of were like, they were sick of it. Yeah. And they just kind of destroyed everything. It sounded like a really bad break.
I mean, it's kind of like, we reviewed on the channel before the Nezora movie. I mean, you just see the mess of that production, and then you look at what happened after this. It gives you kind of an idea of how the company was going at the time.
Yeah. Not for nothing. It's kind of funny, but we're gonna get into the plot point of this movie soon. When I started watching it, I was watching this on my Plex server, so I accidentally swapped the files of Gamera versus Jiger and Gamera versus Zigra. So
because they're both on the
so I started watching Jiger first because it was underneath the Zigra name. I mislabeled them. I watched 30 minutes of that movie before I realized that I was watching the wrong movie, because they both involve young children and a submarine and an aquatic-ish type of monster.
Oh, that's probably the one that I've seen the least. I remember this movie from growing up. I don't remember that one, and I honestly don't know if I've ever seen it.
So you don't see... So for the first 30 minutes, you don't see Jiger.
Yeah.
Right? And there's no burnt-in subtitles. At least I didn't have them up when I was watching at the time. So when the title card came up, it was in Japanese, so I don't know. Right? So I'm watching this movie, and then 30 minutes in, I'm like, yep, this is the plot. Like, this sounds exactly like the plot that I remember. Like, things are a little different, but like, yeah, this is kind of what I remember. I haven't seen this movie in like forever, right? And I'm just like, the second I saw the kaiju, I'm like, I'm watching the wrong movie. So then I start watching Zigra, and I'm like, yeah, this is the same. I'm like, this is the same 30 minutes of the movie, pretty much. Like, there's water themes, there's submarines. I'm like, yeah, this is... Well, there's no submarine in this. There's a bathoscope.
Which we'll get into.
But, like, kind of similar. And apparently, Gamera versus Jiger did do so well, and that's why they were able to make Zigra. But, like, Dai was just bleeding money.
Yeah.
So it wasn't
like this movie that failed them. It was just they were just hurting as a company overall.
Yeah. So I guess we'll get into it. This is an amazing movie on so many levels. Yeah. So it starts off with Zigra, this little like ship thing, which is a really cool looking prop. It's like got like balloons, kind of like a.
I saw somebody describe the ship today as a shark with Dippin' Dots on its back.
That's a really good description. A shark with Dippin' Dots.
It's a really cool ship, but yeah, it's got spikes, fins. Zigra is basically modeled after a goblin shark, which I've seen before. It's a really weird looking shark with like a beak. So the ship is basically shaped like Zigra. It opens up with a moon base. The Zigra ship attacks the moon base, destroys it, and abducts a lunar rover. And then it cuts to Earth after giving the title screen saying Gamera vs. Zigra. And we're at a SeaWorld, and they have a dead dolphin that kind of just turned black. And they're kind of doing it all.
Yeah, the dolphin looks so, like... it's just completely just black, like you got like the plague or something like that. But like, I don't know, like it's SeaWorld, like don't dolphins die all the time there?
Oh jeez. But it doesn't even look like a dolphin too. It's just like this, it's like small too.
The funny thing is, like during the special features, like the guy who they have like doing like the reading, he goes, you know, he's like, you know, this movie takes place in SeaWorld, you know, the place that's really known for taking good care of dolphins and killer whales. Like, he says it's so tongue-in-cheek.
Oh my god.
I was just like, ooh, the most shade in the world.
Yeah. So basically, what they're saying is the oceans are so polluted now that fishermen have been struggling, sea life has been dying, and there's been just like a slew of deep sea earthquakes going on across the globe in Peru, India, and they don't show any of the earthquakes, but they're like catastrophic. There was a 10,000 were killed in India, 100,000 were injured. Like, that's a high body count. So it kind of cuts. There's these two guys. They're kind of like taking samples. They work at the aquarium. They both have kids. They're trying to just kind of do some ocean research, try to save the ocean a little. The two kids kind of just tag along and sneak on their boat, eat their lunch. Yeah. And they witness the Zigra ship landing in the ocean near where there's some dolphins swimming. And they decide, you know what? We got to make sure those dolphins are okay. So let's take the boat out to where the spaceship landed. So sure enough, they take the boat out there. As they're rowing their boat out towards the spaceship, they see Gamera in the sky. I'm like, oh, Gamera's going to protect us. And then the Zigra beam just shoots out from Zigra's ship and abducts the kids and their fathers.
Yeah, and Gamera's just like, all right, whatever. Like, literally just nothing. Like, yeah. I don't know why Gamera was there.
Yeah, he was just doing a flyby high or whatever, just to show the camera exists. And they
Yeah.
get on the ship, and they're met by a woman who claims to be a Zigrin, and she tells them that they've been the ones causing these catastrophic earthquakes, and that she's going to cause a magnitude 18 earthquake to Tokyo. And the fathers are like, "What are you, crazy?" And she just like snaps her fingers, flashes her eyes, and then they like pass out. And she comically chases the kids around this little rowboat in a circle in this spaceship with Zigra's head overlooking them. And
And then like they touch like in like I don't even know like this like spinning orb thing,
yeah,
and she like
yeah.
freezes.
And I don't know if that's linked to. We'll get to later on in the movie with her hypnosis, but I think it could be linked to that control, which was another funny plot point of the movie with the ah ah.
Again, this is of the English dub. There are some nonsensical things that probably
Yeah.
didn't get translated well at all. But again, the production on this movie wasn't great to begin with. So like they get in this boat and then they're like, I don't know, like
They just push random
they're like,
buttons.
yeah, they just push random buttons and then like they're like trying to row it. I'm like, you know, like I'm like watching this and I'm like, what's gonna happen with this boat? Are they gonna like row it through the air or something? And then they kind of just get transported to like the surface, which makes more sense. But I'm like, why are they like in the boat? What's going on? And like the funny thing is like the hypnotized people, they can just the second they touch them, they can at least lead them and walk them,
Yeah.
and they can just do exactly what they want them to do.
Yeah, they walk and everything. Yeah. So they just go, they push a button, and they escape the ship because the Zegrin lady's frozen, and they get back to shore. The military, for some reason, has set up operations in SeaWorld.
Yes. Yeah, there's like this whole like plot point of like they're trying to buy like one fish. And the guy's like arguing with like the hotel guy, and the hotel guy is arguing with the SeaWorld guy. But then it turns out that
Yeah.
they both work for SeaWorld.
Yeah, the SeaWorld guy wanted to get the fish to feed the dolphins. Yes.
And the hotel guy worked for the SeaWorld hotel and wanted to feed the military.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like he's like, I was like, okay, well you show me why you need this fish. So then he goes there, he goes, look, I have the military here. And he's out of the car and the guy's just like, peace out.
And then he just drives away with
the fish.
Yeah.
The one
But like
fish.
the thing is now at this point, the Ziegler lady made the announcement to the world that they're going to cause a magnitude 18 earthquake to Tokyo. So everybody's evacuating, and this guy's like, I need to feed my hotel guests. And the guy's like, everybody's evacuating. Who are you feeding? And the guy's like, I'm going to go feed the dolphins. There should be nobody in your hotel. So they all evacuate. The earthquake does occur, apparently.
Apparently.
We don't see it.
Everything's fine.
Yeah. But there's this catastrophic body count. Tokyo's apparently destroyed. No pictures of Tokyo destroyed. Nothing. We just gotta imagine it. We see everything's fine though. Everything looks fine. There's still people walking around throughout the movie. Then our Zegrin lady comes ashore to go look for these kids, and she encounters some swimmers. They didn't evacuate.
Yeah, they didn't evacuate.
But
those swimmers are from Florida. They were riding out that storm.
You can't tell them what to do. So
they're gonna go to Publix and get a hurricane cake. But anyway, she hypnotizes these swimmers, and they're wearing like the smallest bikinis in the world. So then like she's like, oh, earth clothes. So then she's like just walking around Tokyo,
and then she
in a bikini.
Yeah, and the guy that went to go get the fish for the dolphins on his way back sees her hitchhiking, and he just picks her up and takes her back with him to SeaWorld.
So apparently this actress, I mean, we know Japan is a very, very censored country, so like they weren't that bad, but apparently she was like the star of like Daiei's adult mystery movies.
Oh.
And they said like basically she was just in the movie for whatever poor fellow had to bring his kids to the movie theater to watch this movie with his kids. At least there was something for him to watch. But like apparently her hypnosis only works if somebody looks her in the eye.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is she hypnotizes like everybody in this movie, right? Except for the one guy, the fish guy from SeaWorld was like ogling her the whole time. And he was like the only guy who did not get hypnotized in this movie.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, she makes it to SeaWorld. She hypnotizes like a maid. She gets her outfit. She makes her way to go to the kids. Because she needs the kids for...
She wants to kill the kids.
Yeah, she wants to kill the kids for some reason.
For some reason, she's got to kill these kids because they know the plan. But the whole world knows the plan. They announced the plan to the world. And
even though literally Zigra, like 20 minutes later, will like telepathically tell the entire world exactly what he wants to do.
He's like, I want your oceans. You don't deserve to live here.
And you guys are going to be my cattle.
Yeah. I'm going to feed on you.
Like, this was not like a mystery. I don't know, but so she goes, kids notice her immediately. They run away. They know not to look her in the eye.
Yeah, we get like a whole Scooby-Doo chase scene. They're going like in and out different doors.
So apparently, this was another cost-cutting measure. There was supposed to be another kaiju fight scene, and they got cut, so he just had to like fill it with scenes of like more scenes of the lady chasing them around SeaWorld, because that's literally all he was given access to.
So yeah, they're chasing around SeaWorld. The military's there, media's there, and they see her running after them, and the media's like, "Oh, isn't that whoever?" And we find out that she was a geologist that got sent to the moon. And she's who Zigra took at the beginning of the movie. I don't know why he was just on his way to Earth and like, oh, here's a human that I can use to be my voice.
Yes.
And body.
So then the two adult fathers that were hypnotized earlier in the movie are suddenly unhypnotized. And then they know how to unhypnotize her? I don't know. Yeah. So they unhypnotize her, and she kind of tells them like the plot thing, and then they're like, "Okay, well, we're gonna get Gamera involved." So
yeah, Gamera basically gets involved himself after the earthquakes happen, and we forgot to mention that Gamera is the one that ended up scooping up the kid's boat out of the water and bringing him back to shore, because the kids didn't row their two dads that are zombies back to shore. So Gamera scoops him up, brings it back to shore, and they encounter a hobo when they get back to shore. Yeah. But fast forward, Gamera attacks the zebra ship. No, did Gamera? Yeah.
He did, and that's when
the Zigra's ship.
That's when the ship kind of,
and then it becomes Zigra.
Yeah, and like Zigra grows really quick, and then
it kind of explains how we saw Zigra
the ship, but he's bigger than the ship.
Like it's just like a head hanging over, like kind of looking over everything, but it's like looks like it's like covered in like spider webs.
Yeah, so. The director's budget was frequently cut and was basically like, this is what you have to work with.
Yeah.
So, like, one of the things that he complained about was that it was very difficult to maintain scale in this movie. Just because they were doing what they could with it. So, but the underwater fight was actually really good. Like the Gamera fire breath on the ship to break it looked really good, and then Zigra flying around and I guess swimming under the water and having the fight with Gamera looked really, really nice.
Yeah, and Zigra, it gets bigger because the Earth's gravity is different, so its body expanded under the water.
So then Gamera brings Zigra up to the SeaWorld. They're on the SeaWorld set. They have a little tough little fight thing. And then Gamera gets laser beamed into being like upside down.
Yeah, it's really funny. Like he just flops into the ocean, and there's just like a foot sticking out of the ocean.
It's literally just like,
and Gamera's just in the ocean at the shore of SeaWorld, hanging upside down with just his foot sticking out of the water for like
the rest of the movie.
Very large portion of the movie. Like, yeah,
basically until the last scene of the movie, he's just upside down.
Yeah.
So this is when we get the amazing bath soap.
Oh, and we also they snap the dads out of the hypnosis because after they see several people with it, they realize that it's some sort of radio wave connection, and
until it's like, not a radio wave connection.
Yeah, so they do this weird. They like just get like they get like a microphone transmitter to like transmit a signal sound over a thing, and they're basically going into this microphone, and then the dads are just like every time they do that, and then they snap out of it, and they eventually snap the Zigra lady, the geologist, out of trying to kill the kids by doing the same exact thing. So then they're like, oh, maybe we could do this on a larger scale with everyone. Maybe we can snap Gamera out of it.
They can't.
But they can't. So they go underwater for some reason in this bathoscope, which is basically like, it's not a submarine.
It looks like the Mars, like a little pod that they land on Mars with.
Yeah, it's just sort of like a drum that they drop in the ocean.
It looks like that, but for water.
Yeah.
And there's like a rope attached to it, and I guess they were supposed to bring it up.
They drop it down, and the rope gets cut by Zigra.
And they seemingly have zero plan for that.
Yeah.
If that was to happen.
They're stuck because they went down to such a deep level that nobody's ever gone before, that they don't know how to get him out of there, and Zigra attacks it a couple times, so it is leaking and they're losing air, so they only have like 50 minutes left, and the military is like, oh man, this operation's not doing good, we really got to figure out a way to get them out of there. It's the kids had snuck onto the sub with the dads again, the bathoscope.
There's kids on there and all this stuff. Like, what are we gonna do? Sounds like a problem for morning military. So everybody decides that they're gonna go take a nap.
Yes, you got the wives are there, the older sister is there. We are kind of burying the lead a little bit here. We're kind of making it sound worse than it actually is. Everything was going to be fine. They like had their fingers crossed behind their back and told Zigra that they're going to surrender and they're going to be fine. And Zigra was going to bring them back up to the shore and save them. And then the former Zigran lady, who ended up just being an astronaut, says, if you turn the lights on really bright, it's going to hurt Zigra. So then, as far as they know, Zigra blew up the bathoscope, because they hit him with the ray and the video signal got cut out. Yeah, and they're like, but they could still be down there alive, and the mothers, the daughters are just like crying. And then
how much oxygen do they have? About 50 minutes.
And then it just kind of skips ahead, and everybody in this military base is just napping, passed out. Yeah. And I get, because Zigra has been doing all this damage, it's a lot warmer now. The atmosphere is changing. Zigra's sort of terraforming in a way. But
kind of.
There was like not a lot of urgency. They're like, the nearest bathoscope is in India. And I don't think it could be here in 50 minutes. And you were like, yeah, this is in the 70s. Nothing moved that quick in the 70s.
Yeah, got stuck in the Suez Canal.
Yeah.
But
they decided, instead of trying to even come up with a plan, that let's just nap it out. And they wake up and they're like, oh, they should be dead now.
Yeah, and they were like, in the middle of this nap, Gamera gets struck by lightning and is now awake.
Yes.
But we like he's just awake, and then like they wake up, and they're like, oh, how long has it been? They're like, oh, it's been 8 hours. And then the mother just goes, they suffocated to death. like she didn't know what time was.
And the thing is, it's your husband and your children.
Yeah.
And you're napping. Like, we're really supposed to believe that this mother just decided to nap it out.
You just wanted a quick 15 power nap and it ended up being 8 hours.
Yeah, it's just I was cracking up when that scene unfolded. Like
this has to be a dub thing, right?
I have not seen this movie in years. I mean, we had it as on VHS growing up. I don't remember if I watched it when the DVDs were coming out, but I was dying.
This has to be a dubism, right? Like, this can't be the actual plot. Like, the actual plot points that they're making, right?
I don't know.
It can't be this bad. I better not be this bad. We're gonna do a Redemption review, maybe not this year, but next year or sometime. We're gonna get back to this movie and we're gonna watch the Japanese version. If it's this bad, my lord. But anyway, okay. Cuts to Gamera. He's underwater. Zigra is sleeping right in front of the bathoscope, right? Because he fell asleep too.
And Gamera's a bit of a goof in this scene too.
Gamera's here. He's like, oh, here's the bathoscope. This is what I want. It's just right in front of me, just right here. I can grab it. Zigra's all the way over there. I'm gonna throw that at Zigra.
He just throws. Yeah, you see like the motions, like he's literally trying to sneak up on this thing, and he just throws a rock at him.
Literally throws a boulder in his head.
Let's make sure he's really asleep.
He wakes up and he's like, what's going on? And then just goes back to sleep. And then Gamera's like, okay, I'm gonna take this bathoscope and I'm gonna get on out of here.
Yeah.
So he flies back up to the surface, puts the bathoscope down. The scientists rush out there. Look, everybody's in there. They look to be preserved, but their cells aren't moving. Should we take them to a hospital? No. We're gonna bring them right here on the beach. We're gonna do this right here, right now. And then somehow they're like, oh, well, their cells are stuck, and Gamera must have gotten struck by lightning at night. We don't know that because we were sleeping, but that's what must have happened, right?
So from them getting hit with Zigra's ray is what kept them alive instead of them suffocating.
So
they were like basically frozen in time, that they weren't using oxygen and they didn't need the oxygen.
Yes, but their cells weren't moving. So at first the doctors were like, oh, they're dead, but they didn't suffocate. And then the space lady was like, their cells are just frozen by Zigra. How do we undo this? And then they're like, Gamera must have it was lightning last night, so Gamera must have got struck during the storm, and that's what woke him up. So if we electrify them, it should bring them back to life. That is a giant leap in logic. I don't know, but I guess you just use a defibrillator on them. They didn't use a defibrillator, but just clear, boom, and I guess they're back to life. But this is children's sci-fi movie, but giant leap in logic there. At that point, Gamera goes back underwater. We have honestly another really good underwater fight scene. Gamera's getting slashed up. Yeah, I don't know how they did this.
The cuts on the stomach and then it's bleeding.
Because from what I heard about the production, basically what they did was Gamera and Zigra were on the soundstage set, right? In front of the camera was a water tank, and they filmed the scene through a water tank to like get that like effect, like the lighting and everything like that. But like when Gamera was getting cut, like it looked like what would happen if you were bleeding underwater, where like the green stuff, like Gamera's blood was like floating up and like seeping out of him. Like it wasn't like he was just bleeding and then gravity was happening, like it was floating. So it was honestly like a really good scene. It was multiple cuts. The flying with Zigra was really good. He uses like a little like fin to like slash Gamera. Honestly, a really good fight scene. Probably the highlight of the movie, and with the limited budget that they had, quite impressive. Then they take it onto shore, and it's Gamera basically just raffle stomping Zigra on shore. They do have a Zigra suit, though, that they briefly use in the underwater scene. Very, very briefly, but then also back when they're back on land, they go over to a suit. So now Zigra's like bipedal, standing up. And they're like giant compared to the SeaWorld mini set that they have.
Yeah.
SeaWorld paid for it. They did the scale, and they wouldn't let them destroy anything.
Yeah, SeaWorld
had to be untouched.
Yeah.
So they were very closed in on the space that they had to use
to actually film. They were literally just like on
this.
a beach between like a rock and SeaWorld.
Yeah, and they couldn't destroy anything. So they literally just had that little space to fight with. So they did what they could. It was just, but like they made it happen.
The the surface level fight scenes were actually better than the underwater fight scenes. I mean, the underwater fight scenes were actually better than the surface fight scenes, which normally you would think it would be the other way around. Yeah.
Gamera slams him, throws a rock on top of him, like a giant boulder
stuck
now.
On his beak, and then weighs Zigra down.
Yeah.
And then Gamera plays Zigra like a xylophone.
Yes. Well, no. This is the burn. He plays the Gamera theme song on him like a xylophone, and then lights him on fire.
And then that's the end of Zigra.
That's the end of Zigra and the end of the movie.
Roll the credits.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely like they worked with what they had. It's kind of reminds me of like Space Amiibo, where it's like
there were budget cuts.
There was budget cuts, and they just kind of did what they could with what they had.
Yeah.
Obviously some glaring issues with the movie. Even with the plot point issues, even if those were dub mistakes, just visually, like there was some issues with this movie. Like I don't even know how you could mess up the plot that much on a dub. So I'm assuming the Japanese was almost equally as baffling, maybe not as bad on the plot. Apparently the budget on this was frequently just slashed and slashed and slashed. The director went from a staffed director to just being a freelancer. Apparently like employees were like frequently worried about whether or not they were going to have a job. And like the one scene that was filmed in Tokyo was basically just like that little street scene where she was in the bikini, and it was just like by the train station that they used to commute to work.
So like, just walk around here in a bikini for like a couple of minutes and then call it out.
That was basically like what they had. Apparently, the set pieces that we saw were all that they had, and everything else needed to be filmed in SeaWorld because that's basically like he had no more budget, and SeaWorld was willing to let them film there. So he filmed most of the movie at SeaWorld because that's what he had access to.
Crazy.
Yeah. That being said, though, like the shots at SeaWorld, like I understand it's supposed to be like a big like product advertisement. They weren't really that impressive.
Yeah.
Like I didn't watch this movie going like, oh, I kind of want to go to SeaWorld.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a very interesting
I mean, it's pretty crazy when you look at the Showa series versus the seriousness of the Heisei series. I mean, clearly the Showa series was absolutely meant for children. It
Yeah.
always featured kids. I think the Showa series is so dark and just still considered probably the best kaiju trilogy to this day.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm interested to see what's going to happen next.
I
We
mean,
do have a Gamera anime series coming out.
yeah, next week.
Yeah,
Next week, which is mind blowing. It just came on us so quick that yeah, that's just something else I'm gonna have to squeeze into my binge watching schedule.
Yeah.
Netflix did a great job with Singular Point. The Skull Island series was great, and this Gamera series looks really good, and it also looks pretty dark, looks pretty gory. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty excited for it. I think it's going to be good. If this goes well, hopefully that brings more Gamera in the future.
From what I heard is that if this season does very well on Netflix, that they will do I believe, either a second season or a movie that will serve as a sequel to this first season.
That'd be really good.
And Zigra is going to be in the series. We're going to have Jiger, Gauss, Giron, and Virus. Is that all of them? Is that the 5?
I think
Am I missing anyone?
that's all of them.
Yeah. And interesting thing that those 5 monsters are the only other 5 monsters to get Trendmasters figures back in the day besides Gamera. So it's the Trendmasters monsters. And one of the things for this, when I saw Virus was gold, I'm like, oh, he's usually silver. But then he's kind of changing color. Is if you go now, it should still be there because they want a lot of money for it. But if you go on eBay and search Gamera Trendmasters, they have a prototype Virus figure that's unpainted, and the prototype figure was gold. So that, I think, explains why Virus looks gold in the trailer, which I think is pretty cool. I don't know if it's just a coincidence, but yeah, check that out. We're really looking forward to the Gamera anime series, and thanks for sticking with us. 19 episodes in. Like I said, we had a really busy summer, so we didn't put out as much as we wanted, but we've still been putting out tons of little short videos. We didn't get to do as many shows as we wanted, but this will be the final summer video for this year. Who knows? We'll probably come back with it next year to do more summer videos. We'll see what we have.
Yeah. All right. So see you guys next time. Thanks for watching, and bye.